I guess I'm ready to do my wrap up for the month of August. I knew I'm a bit late, but I was sick for 2 weeks, so I wasn't able to film this any sooner, but today I'm here to finally do the wrap up. The first book that I read this month is a book for my literature course, but it's also one that I really wanted to read, and that is Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. If you have been following my channel for a while, you know that I absolutely love and adore Jane Austen. She is by far my favourite classics author, and I only have Persuasion left, and then I've read everything by her. But I can say to you that after reading this one, I think that this, together with Emma, is so far definitely my favourite Jane Austen book. In Northanger Abbey, we follow this girl named Catherine, and Catherine is single, so she goes to a city, obviously, to find a man and make friends and just have a lovely time. But Catherine is a very interesting character because she really loves reading. She especially loves reading Gothic novels, and then one day she gets acquainted with a family who are living at this abbey, and things happen. It's quite a short one. It's, I think, probably even the shortest one by Jane Austen, and I would definitely recommend it if you want to try Jane Austen out. I mean, if I could recommend any way of reading it, I would say read it in publication order, because I think with every book she gets better. But if you have to read just any Jane Austen, you want to try her out but you're not sure where to start, I would say that Northanger Abbey is a pretty good one, because you don't have too many characters that you follow. The plot, I think, is also quite interesting. I think actually all of the books are quite interesting, but it's also quite short. So I think that if you want to try out, it's not even 300 pages. This is a good one because it follows a character who loves to read. It has some romance in it, it has some mystery in it. It has, I think, everything that a good book has in it is in this one. So I would say if you want to try Jane Austen out, Northanger Abbey is my recommendation. And after that, I read Three Dark Crowns by Kendare Blake. I got this one for my birthday actually this year, but I got it way before my birthday because I got it from Rebecca when she was here in the Netherlands. And I finally read it. I actually read the first chapter when I was in the bookshop, and I instantly fell in love with this one. And now I've read the rest of it, and I'm even more in love with it. This book follows 3 different sisters, and in this kingdom, every time that a queen gives birth, it's 3 triplets, 3 girls. All 3 of them will have their own individual power, and when they turn 16, they have to fight each other, and 2 have to die, and the 3rd one that remains will be the next queen, and so it continues on. And in this book we follow 3 sisters who are 15, close to 16, and we follow them getting ready for the fight, basically. But the thing is, and that's the thing that really made me want to pick up this book, is that 2 of the sisters have been faking their powers, and the 3rd one is the most powerful one they have seen in I don't know how many years. So you can kind of guess that the 2 other sisters are in a bit of trouble. Now, I must say that this book was also pitched as kind of a for Hunger Games fans book. There's not that much action in this book yet. This series was first set to be a duology, but now it's going to be a full book series. And so in this one the fighting doesn't start yet, so don't go into this expecting a Hunger Games but with triplets. Expect to get to know 3 sisters who all 3 have built up their own lives, their own family relationships, their own friendships, their own romance maybe even. And just go in, expect to get to know all 3 of the sisters, and just kind of figuring out how this world works and how these sisters are and how things might just go. I really enjoyed this book. That's, I think, one of the main things that I really want to say in this wrap up. I love this book. Next, I read The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I read a different book by this author. I read A Little Princess maybe last year, maybe even the year before that, and I really enjoyed this. So I was quite excited to pick this one up. This one is about a girl who lives in India together with her parents, but they die due to an illness, so she goes back to England to live with her uncle. And this girl is quite spoiled, and she's not really nice, and she's kind of sick because she was so spoiled she didn't have to do anything. So she's really lazy and she doesn't really have a good physical condition. And then one day she finds this secret garden, and she works hard to get the secret garden back to life because it has been abandoned for so long, and then at the same time she's also kind of changing for the better. And I don't like this book as much as A Little Princess. I found that the main character was not just annoying. I mean, I can deal with an annoying character if it has like a purpose, which it definitely has in this book. But I was also quite bored often in this book. I started to be not bored with this book when two of the kind of side characters were introduced, two boys. From that moment, I quite enjoyed it. But before that, I was bored. It didn't really grab me. I wasn't feeling connected with the story that much. It is an easy book to read, so if you're looking for a classic that you want to get started with, this is definitely a thing that you can read. But personally, I would say that if you want to read anything by this author, go with A Little Princess. Next, I read another book for my literature course, and that is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. This is my first Bronte book, and I didn't like it. I'm so disappointed with that. I'm so freaking disappointed. In this book, you follow a man, Mr. Lockwood, who moves into this house. This house he's renting from a man named Heathcliff, and through the housekeeper, finds out what happened to Heathcliff and the people that used to live in his house and in the house where Heathcliff is right now living. I did not really like this. And it's not because the characters are unlikable. I mean, I can deal with that, but it just felt like it was bad event after bad event after bad event, and even worse things happening to all of these characters. It just seemed like there was never anything positive happening. It was all just really depressing, and it kind of made me angry and frustrated in time. So I was so happy to be done with this. I did not like it at all. I do want to try out other Bronte books by other sisters than Emily. I think this actually is the only book that Emily has written. But this one, no. Just, no. It was way too long. I was bored. I felt depressed. I was unhappy with reading this. No. Next, I read book 2 and book 3 in the Golden Guard trilogy. This is a prequel series to the Air Awakened series by Elise Cover. I read the first book a good while ago as a digital copy, but I got paperback versions of all 3 of them, but I still had to read the second one and the third one. And in this one, in this series actually, you follow Balder, who is the younger brother of Prince Aldric from the Air Awakened series, and we follow him as he is assembling his Golden Guard, which is his elite bodyguard, but he himself is actually also a soldier, so they don't really only protect Balder, they also work for the Empire and do good stuff. In the first one, it was a murder mystery. In this one, we follow Raylin, who is the only female member of this guard, and we kind of get to know her background. And this is probably my least favorite one in the series. And the reason why is because Raylin was nothing like the Raylin that I got to know in the books. I felt like a completely different character. And so I was kind of disappointed because Raylin has always totally intrigued me, but reading this did not feel like I was reading about Raylin. It was like I was reading about a different Raylin, if that makes sense. So this one was actually kind of disappointing. And in this one, we follow Daniel and also Craig and how they join the guard. And I found this really interesting because with the first and the second one, we follow Balder and some of the other characters. But with this one, we just follow Daniel and Craig, and we follow how Craig mostly really wants to join the Golden Guard, and Daniel just wants to make money, go back home and marry the girl that he loves. So this one was quite interesting because we don't follow Balder that much, but it is still about the war that's very prominent in the Air Awakened series, and I found it really interesting. So if I have to say my favorites, I would say that my number 1 would be book 3, my number 2, but very close number 2, would be book 1, which is The Crown's Dog, and then the third one definitely is The Princess Rogue. And next I read an arc of One Dark Throne by Kendra Blake, which is one of the reasons why I had 3 Dark Crowns, but that was definitely not a punishment. I read this one almost back to back. I actually started the same day, I think, that I finished 3 Dark Crowns, but I read some stuff in between. And it was quite good. It was really interesting. The first book ends on quite of a cliffhanger, and then we kind of follow the events that happen after that, obviously, because it's a sequel. And it was quite interesting. I'm really interested in what is going to happen next. I am happy that in this book, at least, some of the real proper fighting is starting because of actually something that happens. Spoilers, I can't really say too much, but just know that it is very interesting, and if you're looking for more fighting, more action, then I would say that you can probably find it in the second one. The ending was quite interesting, and I'm really excited to read the next one because we get some hints about what is going on with one of the sisters, and it's really interesting and I just really want to read it. But at the same time, I'm not really sure where the author is going with it because of where two other sisters are going with their story. It's so hard to talk about this without spoiling, but just know that I'm very interested and very excited about the third book, that I really enjoyed the second book, and that I think that if you enjoyed the first book, you will also definitely enjoy the second one. And the final book that I read in August is Before She Ignites by Jodi Meadows. This is another arc that I got. I've read one other book by Jodi Meadows, which was Incarnate, I think is the name of the first book. It's the series with the very pretty covers. I will put a picture up here. This one is about a fantasy world where there has been some sort of war going on, and then roughly 17 years earlier they signed a treaty named the Myra Treaty, and this was named after the daughter of the man who wrote that treaty. And now Myra is kind of admired, and she has this whole big kind of ceremonial function, and somehow she ends up in jail. And so this story is about why she ended up in jail, what her role was in society, and what she's going to be doing next. I really enjoyed this book, but there were also some issues that I was having, mostly with the world building. Some of the things were a bit unclear. This is going to be a trilogy, I believe, so I am hoping that we will find out more about the world as we continue on with this series. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Myra as a character. I really enjoyed the plot, but world building was a little bit lacking. Not this much lacking, but like this much. It could have just used a bit more, because I had a lot of questions after this book about the war, about Myra's function in society, about the religion, about other empires. I just really felt like I couldn't fully grasp the world that we were reading about, and that kind of annoyed me. So this was my wrap up for the month of August. You will see my next wrap up probably in 2 to 3 weeks for September. But I'm quite excited for my September wrap up, because so far I've already read 16 books and we're halfway through the month. Which is also the reason why I didn't want to put my August and September wrap up together. I would love to hear from you if you've read any of the books that I just talked about in the comment section down below. How did you feel about them? Did you enjoy them? What books are you maybe excited for to read in September? And I hope to see you with my next video. And if you enjoyed this one, please consider giving it a thumbs up. Bye guys!